Kiki's delivery service is for many the first taste of the fantastical worlds that are imagined by Hayao Miyazaki. It's no wonder Kiki's delivery service is an instant classic, with its strong female protagonist, beautiful environments, and a slew of interesting characters. Kiki's delivery service is such an enticing film, not only for the reasons already mentioned, but also due to the message inherent in the story. Although struggling to regain the ability to fly on a broomstick isn't something we can relate to, the underlying issue she deals with is relatable. Today, I'm going to dissect creativity and how Kiki's delivery service contributes to the conversation. Before we start, I want to point out that there have been great analysis videos examining creative burnout in Kiki's delivery service, and I highly recommend checking them out. While I think those are fantastic interpretations, I want to look at creativity in a slightly different light. In the age of the internet, you don't have to look far to find creative people. Whether you're scrolling on TikTok or perusing on Instagram, creativity isn't hard to find. However, what does it mean to be creative in this day and age? We can find a plethora of examples of creative individuals, from artists to musicians to entrepreneurs, but why are they considered creative? Let's take a look at one set of criteria for creativity from the 3rd edition of the Handbook of Personality. According to this text, an idea can be considered creative once it has at least 2 things. First, the idea must be original. When originality is discussed, that's not to say that the idea must be completely unique, as most ideas probably wouldn't be able to live up to this criterion. However, when contrasted with other existing ideas, the new idea must be relatively novel. Second, the idea must display the ability to solve a solution to a significant problem or achieve an important goal. When trying to bring this abstract concept down to earth, creativity researchers have conceptualized the phenomenon of creativity in 3 distinct ways. First, creativity can be understood as a mental process which results in the creation of unique and adaptive ideas. Second, creativity may be seen as a trait of a product. This product could be a discovery, invention, poem, painting, composition, or something of this nature. Lastly, creativity is also thought of as a personality trait characterizing an individual. This view of creativity depicts the concept as something that you either have or you don't have. Now that we've seen how researchers and scientists think about creativity, let's take a look at how this is depicted in Kiki's delivery service. Here's a quick recap of the major plot points in the film in case you forgot. Kiki is an aspiring young witch and sets off to find a new town where she can develop her magic and find her niche. She ends up starting a delivery service based out of a bakery. Here, she is able to hone her ability to fly and run a successful business. Eventually, she loses her ability to fly, along with her ability to communicate with her black cat, Gigi. With the help of a painter and the desire to save her friend Tombo, Kiki regains her ability to fly. The major conflict in the movie surrounds the departure of Kiki's magic. Kiki has 2 distinct abilities that we can consider magic that she isn't able to access during this conflict in the film. First is her ability to fly, and second is her ability to communicate with Gigi. After falling ill from delivering a package in the rain, Kiki goes to deliver a package to Tombo and chooses to walk instead of flying. Tombo unveils a flying machine that he's created and takes Kiki for a ride. After they're able to get airborne, the flying machine quickly fails and they're sent tumbling down a hill. Tombo asks Kiki if her magic is what allowed them to fly, and she's unsure and says anything is possible. Though we don't get a clear answer, I think at this point in the film her powers are starting to dwindle down. Shortly before the delivery to Tombo, Kiki was able to talk with Gigi, but he goes off with another cat, and upon his return, she's unable to understand him. While Kiki is unsure if she used her magic to help Tombo's invention fly, I think we can assume that she was partly responsible for getting it off the ground. So what's the deal with Kiki's powers? Why isn't she able to talk with Gigi and fly anymore? We could assume that she isn't able to fly because she doesn't enjoy flying anymore. She tells Tombo, "Flying used to be fun until I started doing it for a living." However, this doesn't explain why she can't communicate with Gigi. Well, I think Kiki's powers are tied to her creativity and her intentions when it comes to creativity. The film is pretty straightforward with its portrayal of magic as a creative endeavor. This is personified by an artist that Kiki meets. When trying to retrieve a stuffed animal that was dropped in the woods, Kiki meets Ursula. Kiki seeks advice from Ursula when she revisits her cabin later in the film after she's unable to use her magic anymore. Ursula tells Kiki that painting and magic seem similar and empathizes with Kiki, telling her she has creative ruts as well. When Kiki asks Ursula how she gets her creative mojo back, Ursula tells Kiki that she may be working too hard at trying to fly. I think that Ursula is completely right, but perhaps not in the way that she means to be. Throughout the film, Kiki attempts to hone her skills and creativity through her delivery service. Looking at our previous definition of creativity, Kiki meets both criteria. Originality, as she is presumably the only person that can deliver packages via broomstick, and she solves a problem. She needs to get packages from point A to point B in the fastest possible way. However, in utilizing her magic and creativity, according to this definition with her delivery service, her creativity has become a commodity. In doing so, Kiki has engaged in what can be considered creative materialism. This term is lifted from Chogyam Trungpa in his book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. Trungpa defines spiritual materialism as the process of trying to develop spirituality gone astray when we deceive ourselves into thinking we are developing spiritually, when instead we are strengthening our egocentricity through spiritual techniques. Slightly different, I would say that creative materialism is the commodification of creative endeavors in order to strengthen either our egos or our wallets. Kiki's magic and creative endeavors become a product and lose their inherent value. Instead of her magic and creativity being valuable because they inherently are, their value lies in her ability to sell them as products. Although it appears that her magic starts to dwindle after her recovery from being sick, I think the catalyst to the disappearance of Kiki's magic is her delivery that she made in the rain. Kiki is tasked with getting a pie from an older woman to her granddaughter's house. Upon receipt, the granddaughter is disappointed with Kiki and the delivery. Kiki looks visibly upset, and the worth of her magic is tied to her deliveries due to her commodification of her flying. After this delivery, Kiki gets sick, and then we hear from Gigi for the last time, and her ability to fly seems to almost be non-existent. Ursula the artist gives Kiki a pep talk, and when we look at Ursula as a creative, we can see why she's able to create effortlessly. Ursula lives in a cabin in the middle of the woods removed from the town. Perhaps she sells paintings to have money, but that's not explicit in the film, and if that were the case, this isn't her primary objective with her art. Ursula appears to paint because that's just what she does. She's a painter, and the worth of her art and creativity aren't tied to the art itself and its ability to sell. It's valuable because it's creative. She tells Kiki that when she was younger and unable to paint, she hadn't figured out what or why she wanted to paint. However, upon this discovery, she was able to create again. After Kiki's talk with Ursula, she makes a delivery, but we don't see any sign of her magic. It's not until Tombo is in trouble and Kiki's desire to rescue him allows her to fly again. At this point in the film, Kiki has relinquished her flying as merely a product and a means to make money. Her creative materialism starts to dissipate, and flying ceases to be just a way to inflate her ego as a witch or to be sold as a product. Her magic is used in the service of others and not merely for herself. There appears to be a maturation and development to her magic throughout the movie. This is apparent in not only her flying, but also her communication with Gigi. Kiki tells Ursula that she used to be able to fly without even thinking about it. Flying was second nature to Kiki and was instinctual. Kiki's magic and her creativity were akin to how a child is creative. Children have a natural curiosity and imagination. The world is new to them, and they're constantly using their imagination and creativity. Whether it's asking why, creating imaginary friends, or coming up with interesting and new ideas for how to use the tools they find in the world, children have a natural instinct for creativity. This is manifested in Kiki through her ability to communicate with Gigi. According to Eric Neumann in his book, Amour and Psyche, The Psychic Development of the Feminine, helpful animals are often symbols of the instinctual world. In Kiki's case, her creativity is childlike and instinctual as she is able to talk with and get help from her cat Gigi. Kiki then moves into the stage of creativity that is all too common for creatives in the digital world, the stage of creative commodities. Much like a TikToker who values their creativity in terms of followers, or the musician who is deemed good because they are able to sell their music to the masses, Kiki has fallen prey to the stage of creative materialism. This is the stage where genuine creativity is unavailable to Kiki, and she can no longer fly nor talk to Gigi. She's lost her instinctual roots and can't seem to figure out how to return to the previous stage. It's not until Kiki develops to a more mature stage of creativity, which is creativity not in the service of the self, but in the service of others, and creativity for creativity's sake, that she can access her powers. Being able to create for others without needing to sell the product advances Kiki into a new stage of creativity. She has broken out of the realm of childlike instincts and progressed through the creative materialism that characterized her delivery service. Her magic and creativity is inherently valuable and is able to enrich not only herself, but also the people she holds dear. Kiki's delivery service gives us an interesting commentary on how to manifest creativity. Although the definition used by researchers includes the need to solve a significant problem or achieve an important goal, Kiki doesn't need the criterion, and it appears to pull her into a limiting space for her creativity. Kiki doesn't need to be creative in order to gain anything, and she can be creative for creativity's sake. The value of her creativity doesn't come from selling her flying. It's valuable all on its own. So the next time your social media post doesn't go viral, your art isn't bought by millions, or your creation isn't recognized by others, don't forget Kiki and the importance of creating for the sake of creativity.